Hello again, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming back. Thanks for sticking with me through the three-part grain elevator series. I know that one got pretty long. It sounds like everybody enjoyed it, so I'm glad. And I got some good constructive feedback on it as well, which is really helpful. Randy Gelp, in fact, had a great comment regarding my scribe lines, or the forms. And I don't know if you saw his comment, but I thought I'd highlight it. I know I'm going to be using the same technique again when I get around to making the Medusa cement plant that I have. I've got a plan for that. But he commented that when they would have poured the individual silos, they would have used a form that would have been 10 feet tall. And then they would have poured 10 feet, waited for it to dry, then poured the next 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet. And he said when they got to the top, if it was only going to be 5 feet, they would have done only half the fill, and then that would have been it. So my 10, 10, 10, and then 15 at the end was actually incorrect. I should have added another line. I think laziness kicked in there because I had just gotten a little bit tired of penciling all that stuff in. I like the technique. I thought it turned out well, but it was still a time-consuming process. I think just because of the nature of how big that structure ended up being. So the project moving forward, I think for now I'm going to keep this short, simply because it's the holidays. I'm starting recording this on December 20th, I think. But between holiday baking with my wife and family activities with the holidays, I wanted to get something out so I could wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, but also just to give an overview of a project that I've got planned. And one of the things I am going to try and am going to show is something I had did some research on, but found very little of any kind of. I've had great success trying this. Basically, I have a section of the layout that I'm going to tear out, and I mentioned this in the last episode that I did. And I really would like to try and salvage at least the switches that I have, the turnouts that I have on the layout. I've mentioned before, and for those of you who don't know, I have a Fast Tracks turnout jig, and I calling it hand laying when you're using a jig is a little bit of a misnomer, but ultimately I'm still hand making them. So I spent a lot of time. Each switch takes about 45 minutes or so. So to just rip them up and throw them out, it's kind of not so much a cost thing as it is oh man, I worked hard on these. So I want to try and salvage what I can, and some of the areas have already been ballasted. Now I'm hoping maybe what I can do is re-wet the area, possibly reactivate the matte medium that I used, enough to loosen up some of the material, and then salvage at least the metal portion of the switches. If the ties go, okay, I can recut ties, no big deal. But also the flex track. Flex track has gotten really expensive as of late, and if I can avoid wasting the track that I've got, and even if I only get a 2-foot section out of a 3-foot section of flex track, well, it's still 2 feet I don't have to purchase. So that's what we're going to try. We'll go over to the section of the layout that I'm going to be ripping up, and hopefully trying some techniques on lifting track out, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so the lighting in this area is a little bit poor, unfortunately, but you have to bear with me. This is the area that I plan to take out, and why, you might ask? Well, it just, I don't know. I'm not real thrilled with it. I think it it's kind of, it was part of the first layout that I made, and it expanded into what it is today. But it really doesn't serve a full purpose. It's kind of got that toy train first layout feel to it, with the loop of track and just trackage everywhere. And I thought about it adding a backdrop in to kind of split the scene, but I thought, let's just go away from it. I don't need this loop in here. Let's tear it out. Let's start over. So instead, what I want to do, as mentioned, I'm going to make full use of this section here to this post. Obviously this is part of the structure holding up the I-beam of the house. This is kind of wasted space. So I want to extend the layout out to here. That won't really interfere with anything. And then I also plan to expand a little bit into that area there, and I'm going to actually make a portable section that will expand towards the wash area, and then that way I can move it out and still have access to, that's just a water softener and reverse osmosis and stuff behind there. But so we'll tear all this out, and then this, in this area here, this is where I plan to have the Wisconsin River scene with the steel truss bridges, and then on a backdrop in this area, and then on this side I'll have just some switching area, and then I plan to, as I mentioned, have cookie cutter scenery in this area, and I'll have the track actually go down and below and go underneath the track, probably hidden, and then pop out to this section that'll be, you know, in this area here. And then I also am thinking in this area here I'll have some switching, you know, a couple industries over in this area. But so this is the track that needs to be salvaged, and you can see these are some of the fast track switches that I made all in this area, and then just the flex track. So what I'm thinking of doing, I'm going to start on this end here, since I can easily salvage the track in this area, and then I'll work towards this switch and this switch and see what happens. So I'll start working on those guys. Okay, so here's my weapons of destruction, if you will. This is the same spray bottle that I use for putting scenery in, now to be used to hopefully take scenery out. So this is mostly alcohol, the 70% alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and then water. And then this Windex bottle is actually just a tiny bit of Windex, what was left in here, and then a little bit of alcohol, and then mostly just water. I'm going to use this as my soaking agent, hopefully. And then a couple putty knives to get under the track once it's hopefully loosened up, and then just needle nose pliers for hopefully pulling up the nails. Now, in this section, this was all just particle board. Not the greatest thing for laying track down on, because it does have a tendency to absorb water. I sealed all of it with paint to help prevent that. But the good news is that this track isn't glued down, it's just nailed down, so I'll be able to pull up like these sections of track hopefully relatively easily, and I don't have to contend with glued track. So but now I realize what I do need to contend with is feeder wires. So there's a feeder wire right here, and there's going to be another one somewhere on this guy. So I'm going to have to remove those before I rip this track. I suppose I can just cut it, but actually I think I soldered this joint in here, so in order to get this track separated, I'm going to have to cut that out. But now one of the things that's really nice about, I use this Woodland Scenics roadbed, and it's foam. And even with the ballast in, what I can do is push down just ever so slightly with the needle nose pliers, which gets the first like row of teeth on the serrated edge of the jaws here, the ability to get on the head of the nail and then pull it out. I'm going to have a little bit harder time in the ones that are in the wood itself. Okay, so while my soldering iron heats up to remove these feeder wires, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start soaking in this area, at least this part of the switch here. I just remembered that's what I did. Alright, so I'm going to start by soaking the entire area really liberally. This is the alcohol and water mixture, so this will help, like, when you apply scenery, to break the surface tension and hopefully help kind of penetrate a little bit. Now my thought is too, if I have any luck getting this stuff salvaged, is that even if there's some ballast stuck to the track, what I'll be able to do is come back and maybe even just soak these switches in a little alcohol water bath and just kind of get the glue to really kind of, if I have to come back with a toothbrush, or some people suggested a dental pick, so we'll see what happens. Again, I'm really focused on trying to salvage these switches. The track is secondary. I'd like to salvage it as well, but if I can't, well, I can't. Hey, the furnace turned off. Alright, so this is just the water mixture, so we're going to see, we're going to let this soak for a bit. Water is soaking through some holes that I have drilled, and it's dripping onto my wife's nativity scene boxes. I better get some towels. Huh, you know, I gotta tell you, well, this part came out okay. The re-wetting really, I mean, I don't know if you can see this on the video, the lighting's a little bad, but it definitely re-wet the ballast to the point that I bet you if I submerge this, I'd probably be able to get most of this out of here. So let's see if I can get this switch out and how that goes. That one wasn't fully ballasted in, so okay, so what I got here is just some warm water, and I took the switches, and I know these are wood ties, some of them are, and then some of them are copper ties. Now I am putting this in water, which is, you know, you figure you're spraying your track anyway. Hopefully this won't do too much damage. So you can see here I've got some ballast still stuck between, so I'm kind of just letting them soak a little bit. And this is just an aluminum tray. I think it's just like a bread pan type tray, but just using a soft toothbrush. This is my wife's, not mine, just so you know. No, I'm kidding. And actually, while I'm in here, I'm just going to get the tops of the rails as well. And now the only thing that I'm a little concerned with is that there's going to be some glue that's dried, and so it'll be interesting to see once these have dried, if there's any residual matte medium left. I might have a little bit of trouble with the points being thrown, but that usually can be overcome. So that's all the ballast removed from that one. So this is the one that only had ballast on part of it though. So let's set that aside. And this one you can see has got a lot more ballast on it. Well, I gotta say, I'm pleasantly pleased with. Okay, these are only 2 switches. I've got many more to go, but if I can salvage even half of them, I'll be pretty happy. So I'm going to set these on a paper towel, let them dry, and we'll see what happens after they've fully dried. But I'm kind of hoping for the same results. So I got some ballast on this track. Maybe I'll soak this a little bit. But I mean, overall, this is totally reusable. I've got some ballast on top of the ties, but I could pick that off. You know, no big deal. The important thing is that, you know, the overall work is not lost. This switch is, in my opinion, reusable. So that's at least 2 switches I don't need to redo. Well, here's the result of the destruction. I was actually able to salvage all the switches. One of them actually, possibly not, but we'll have to see. So now, next step will be some of the track. It appears that I must have started with a different type of glue as I as I worked along, and I think this might have been Woodland Scenics matte medium, and then this might have been Scenic Express in this area, because this was an older part of the layout, and then this is the newer part, and I switched over to Scenic Express, and I'm thinking that that might have a... The Woodland Scenics actually is sticking a lot better, unfortunately, so I don't know, that might be a negative. Scenic Express area, I believe, really kind of came off quite nicely. So we'll switch back over to the workbench, and I'll show you some of the switches as they came out. So I've just got the switches drying on a piece of paper towel, and this is one of them that took some damage. The solder just broke in this area, so I should be able to repair it, though, I would think. If not, you know, if I lost one, that's not too bad. Overall, though, I mean, they came pretty clean. The switch movement is, or the point movement is still pretty good. But you can see some of them came a little bit cleaner. This is one of the first ones that I did, and this one I believe was Scenic Express. I'm going to be interested to see as I move along the rest of the track how they turned out. But I'm really pleased. I mean, that's a good number of switches that I was able to salvage, and hopefully there's another 4 that I can hopefully get out of it, and then the track as well. So we'll see what happens. Okay, like I said, I'm going to keep this one a little bit shorter this weekend. It's not a 3-parter. You know, like I said, with the holidays and everything going on, this is kind of all I've got time for at the moment. So this is a project I want to kick off, and I figure if I tear up the track, that's going to force me to kick in and really start moving forward on it. And I'm sure there'll be moments of regret where I'll think, oh, what did I do? The layout was just fine. But I'm hoping the long-term goal is worth the effort. And then the money saved is worth the marriage capital, as my brother-in-law always says. And so I promised to do some pay it forwards on my last video, so I wanted to do that here, make sure that I got those in. I will make sure that I put links down in the show notes to all the channels, because I'm going to mention 3 of them here, and then I'll mention a few more on my next video. So the first one is eFitter7. He's an up-and-coming new guy. He mentioned that he just started putting up some videos on his channel and was hoping for a plug. So there, eFitter7. And then the next one goes by Michael Walsh, and I believe that his channel is actually Amber Signal. Again, I'll throw a link in the show notes so you can see that, and it'll be easier to get to. Another one just started shooting video, and so I want to make sure that he gets a plug. And then one other was, I might butcher this last name, Lee Beckler. That seems right. Thank God I'm not a teacher. But again, I'll link in the show notes, so we don't need to worry about pronunciation. And then those are the pay it forwards. So give them a chance, see what their channels have. Like I said, I like watching them while I'm working on stuff. Unfortunately, what I'm working on is way over there, so my computer and everything is over here, so that's okay. That's being a wet and messy process. I guess I don't want any electronics over there. So I hope everyone has a great holidays, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, nothing, Boxing Day, whatever holiday that you celebrate this time of year. I hope it's a good one. I hope Santa or your gift delivery person of choice brings you some great modeling stuff. I know he is for me, because I bought it and my wife procured it and is now wrapping it for me. So, but actually I'm kind of excited because I'm getting a cutting mat for the entire workbench, so I'll pretend to be surprised when I open it Christmas Day. But again, thanks a lot for the subscriptions. Hope everyone has a great holiday season, a great New Year's, and we'll see you probably in 2014, but maybe sooner, but most likely 2014. So thanks again, everyone.